Okay, what's up, people? Welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is doing well. As always, guys, if you're enjoying the content, please be sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and of course, make sure you do go and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. Make sure you do check out the Elevating Traders Discord channel, completely free to join. Link to that in the description below, and also at the top of the chat. You can find updates there regarding Elevating Traders. You can find updates regarding charts as well. I share ideas, so do other people. Join the community, join the discussion. If you're looking to get involved, check it out. Link in the description. As I said, completely free to join. But guys, welcome back to another session. Hope everyone's well. What's up, Sultan? Good morning. Good morning. Ahmed, welcome to the stream. Hope you are doing well. So as always, guys, we'll go through the USD side of things first. Take a look at DXY. Go through some USD majors, gold and silver. Some interesting moves are happening in the market at the moment. And of course, we'll go through a bunch of other pairs as well. If you are looking at any particular pairs and you do want my opinion, my thoughts, feel free to drop it down in the chat. Let me know the time frames you're working on as well. What's up, Dark Sean? Good morning. Hope you are doing good. So first things first, the dollar. So it looks like we're seeing some retracement. Price has, again, it hasn't done much, to be honest, since we've started the week, but we are having this slow grind to the upside, which is something we've been anticipating. I've said I'm still bearish on the USD. However, I do want to see a much bigger pullback in towards this area here, 107.6 to 108.4. That's kind of the area where I would anticipate another swing high to be and a continuation. So as long as we can maintain that structure and price doesn't start breaking through this, I would be expecting a little high to form and continuation to the downside. So I'm pretty bearish on the USD, bullish on quite a few USD majors, which we'll get to in a moment. Again, in terms of the overall trend, the market is still up, so we have to be careful. This is still a major swing low, which gave us this push to the upside. So quite frankly, this could just be a deeper correction for price to continue. So I do have to watch out for that. But if price can respect this area and we don't break through, I would at least look for continuation back to the prior low, which is over here. Whether we go further or not, we'll find out, of course. But that is kind of the play I'm looking at this week at least, or for the next few days for the dollar. So still pretty bearish there. Euro USD looking at the opposite as well. Again, the key thing I like about Euro is how slow the market is moving. Well, not necessarily something to like about the market, but it does illustrate that the bearish trend is really running up momentum and we are slowly picking up pace to the upside. Hence why I do have a bullish bias for Euro USD as well. Not just because I do have a bearish bias for the DXY. Euro also is showing signs that, okay, we've tried to sell off a few times, but we haven't really amounted to much. And now it's starting to form some higher lows as well. So because of that, expecting more upside for Euro. The plan is to look for the next higher low. We've got one there, second, looking for a third. It looks like price is slowly working its way towards an area of interest. I did talk a lot about the high here on the left, especially on the weekly analysis, as a nice place for a retest and some longs. We're trading in that area now, so it's up to price to show us if we were going to reject this area or not. At the moment, last 4 hour candle was pretty bearish, so momentum is still with the bears. However, things can change pretty quickly. If you start to see some wicks shift the momentum back in the bullish direction, that could present some nice opportunities perhaps on the hourly chart. If, of course, we keep breaking through, I'll still be bullish, but I'll probably look at a deeper retracement. Price still does have some trendline confluence down here. I wonder if it would come a little bit deeper before going to the upside, which, again, will present some nice opportunities. And target-wise, I'm still expecting this high to be taken out and possibly a retest of the resistance up here at 1.062. If you do break through the trend line, though, however, that will make things a bit awkward. Not necessarily I'll be bearish again because we are still putting in the higher lows. So one over there, second, technically speaking, I need price to take out this low for me to, well, I wouldn't necessarily be bearish at that point. I'd probably just be very neutral in Euro, to be honest, because if you break through that low, things just get very, very awkward. So yeah, I am still bullish in Euro, looking for buys from either one of these areas, and then expectations back to the high there at 1.05350. Pound USD, pretty much a similar opportunity with this one as well, looking for a pullback for some more upside. But with pound, we just haven't seen the pullback. I feel like pound's been a little bit stronger this week. It looks like it's consolidating there a little bit on the lower time frames, but again, looking for a deeper correction for a buy and a continuation. Pound USD has some nice high lows already. One over there, second over there, third, looking for number 4, and hopefully some entries later in the week or maybe next week, depends how long it takes to retrace. But I like this area here, prior resistance turns support, and more or less lines up pretty well with that prior support level from a few weeks ago, back over here when we held it pretty well too. So there's some nice confluence down here for pound. Just need to get there first, and then we can start looking for some entries. But again, same idea as euro, looking for a correction and then push just back to where we came from pretty much. If we pull back from here, that would be the target for the trade. We could go a lot further. I've spoken about where pound USD is coming from, a very strong low. This low here gave us a massive swing to the upside, taking out that prior high. So at the moment, price is still respecting structure, and possibly it could be the catalyst for another big swing. Who knows? But we are respecting that area pretty well. Starting to see some bullish structure from it. So I do anticipate more upside there for the for pound. It's just can we find that retracement into a nice area to look for entries? That's really the plan and really the big if. So we'll see if we can get that over the next couple of days. But that is what I'm looking for. Dollar CAD pretty bearish on as well too. Looking for some retracement as I've marked out this lovely consolidation as a place where price could get to before seeing some more downside. USD CAD for me looks like it's hit a bit of a top for the trend potentially. We had that consolidation for in the market for a while. Price looks like it's topped out with this massive break to the upside or gap to the upside. Then we had price really push down for a lot of momentum. And since then, we've actually taken out some support as well. So I do anticipate more downside there for dollar CAD. Looking at the weekly chart, you can see where we're trading massive areas of resistance. I do anticipate price to at least have some retracement from this. Again, not necessarily will have such a big move. We could do, but realistically, a push back to this area just below 1.4 looks like a good bet to have. So expecting a bit more downside for dollar CAD. Looks like we potentially hit a bit of a top to that bullish trend, this bullish trend here. So as long as price can respect this area, I do see a lot more downsides. The only way I'd back away from shorts for dollar CAD, at least in the 4-hour chart anyways, if we do break the range to the upside. If that happens, we might just be getting a deeper pullback anyway, but at that point, we're kind of breaking structure a little bit. So I would be a little bit more hesitant shorting. At the moment, we haven't really done anything, just kind of consolidating at these lows. That still looks like a really nice area to get involved. So I would wait to see price push a little bit higher before starting to look for opportunities to take dollar CAD lower. In terms of Aussie dollar, pretty much looking what I'm looking with dollar CAD just flipped really. We've got this nice consolidation here, looking for the retest of that area for some buys. Again, Aussie dollar, you can see where we're trading. Massive level on the weekly chart, similar to dollar CAD coming to a big level. You can see what happened last time, really big push to the upside, and now price is there again. So possibly could see another big reaction, and especially with how the weekly and the daily is forming, it looks like that's exactly what we're getting. Really strong double bottom here, and now price is breaking through the highs to the upside. So I would expect a lot more upside now for Aussie dollar, as you can see, taking up the highs there with some nice momentum as well. So that's always a good sign. So Aussie dollar expecting a lot more upside here too. Again, in terms of specific targets for this one's a bit more, a little bit more difficult to spot specific targets. I'll probably just keep an eye on areas on the left really. As we continue up high, these are some highs to look at as we found prior resistance in those areas, 0.641, 645, 649. I'll keep an eye on those areas or keep it relatively simple. Let's say if we pull back from here, that of course would be a target back to the swing high. But in terms of entries, in terms of the setup, that's what I'm looking at around the 0.63 area to take it to the upside. New Zealand dollar really had a strong reaction because we had the New Zealand interest rates yesterday, and price reacted very bullish to it. A really strong push to the upside, strong 4-hour candle close. I did say I like the longs for New Zealand dollar back down at this area. Didn't quite get there, and again, I wouldn't be there to take the trade anyway because this is when the interest rates happened, which was like 3 a.m. or something like that, and I'm sleeping at that time. So even if price did get there, we wouldn't be there to take the trade. However, we didn't. So price potentially might still give us the opportunity. We might still come back down again. We'll have to wait and see. but that's still where the interest lies for New Zealand dollar. And again, a very similar setup to Aussie dollar, really nice double bottom, as we can see, as price may be forming a bit of a bottom to this bearish trend over here. And of course, if you look to the left, really massive level of support on the weekly chart, which price is bouncing from as well. So there's room to the upside for New Zealand dollar, room to the upside for Aussie, and just seeing if I can find some entries for it. Hopefully we can come back and retest that area around 0.56. In terms of gold and silver, these guys are looking pretty bullish. Gold breaking the highs there, so that's a good sign that says, okay, the buyers are back in control. I wasn't a big fan of that double top from last week, but I did say yesterday that if price was to go and break the highs again, that will give me reinstated confidence that, okay, gold is still bullish, still attacking to the upside, and intraday buys could still look very good. However, we've only just cleared the high, so I'd like to see a bit more evidence of price really pushing through like what we got last time. Price broke through the highs, really ripped through to the upside, really showing us that the buyers are in control. We've done that many occasions, big break to the upside there, eventually a big break to the upside there. Even here, price had a big break to the upside. So I want to see evidence of more of this type of price action, because it's been a very clear-cut, very strong bullish trend for gold. And of course, since we put the double top in, it's a sign that things are slowing down. However, a strong break of the high with some clear momentum is a strong sign that says, okay, we're still back in play, and the trend's still very much alive. We've still got 3K just above us here. I wonder if price has just really been attracted towards that area. And of course, if you do see a strong break of that level, this will leave behind some really nice levels for a buy and a continuation. So looks like gold's trying to push through. Let's see if it can. And if it does, there should be some nice continuation plays from the pullback. In terms of silver, that one's looking relatively bullish as well. Pushing to the upside, looks like it's starting to clear resistance. I'm still not getting too excited just yet, because we're still kind of in the firing line of this level here, but it looks like price is starting to break through. So what I want to see is price go and create a new high, which is past this point there. Then that will give me the green light to now look for more pullbacks and more upside, because I'm still expecting silver to get to the high here. That's still very much the play, still very bullish on silver. I'm not really interested in selling it. But if price can break through the high there, so break structure in the 4-hour chart again to the upside, that shows, okay, that was just a pullback. It wasn't a sell to start a bit of a bearish trend. The market's still bullish, and then we can look for some more pullback somewhere to take it to the upside, and targets back at 34.86. So still very bullish on silver. Looks like potentially we're seeing that happen. If we can break the high, then that will give me the green light, and then pullbacks all the way back to the daily swing high up there. But yeah, still pretty bullish on silver. Looks like gold is trying to become bullish again with the break of the high. So again, some pullbacks could look really good there intraday. Still pretty much bearish on USD, the DXY, and a lot of the USD majors are expecting USD to be the weaker currency. So that's still very much the play for me for dollar. What is up, people? Where was I? Tony Gold, welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. Darkshaw, what's up? GJ looking so bad. Okay, we'll have a look at that in the 5 minutes and 1 hour bullish, respecting the trend line, but the 4 hours bearish. What do you expect? Okay, we'll go take a look. What's up, CS Integrated? Hope you're well. CS Integrated DXY short term, bearish or bullish. Okay, I'll quickly go through that, and I'll go through GJ. So yeah, in terms of the DXY, I am, well, it depends how short term you're looking at. If it's short term, now I would be pretty bullish on the dollar, expecting retracement back to this zone. In terms of the next kind of swing intra-week move I'm looking at pull back into the zone and then another push back down to the low. So yeah, it depends how shorter term and how long you're looking for. I do expect to see more upside, but I expect that to be a retracement. But the bigger move I'm looking for and looking to trade on a lot of the USD major pairs is very much the short here on the way back down. Of course, longs and Aussie, longs and New Zealand, longs and pound on the way up for those pairs. But for the DXY, this is the move I'm interested in, but I do expect to see some retracement. So depends on what you're looking for, really, but that's really much the play I'm looking at. A really strong drop last week, and to me, it looks like momentum is still with the bears with this push. So we've got that strong impulse there, correction over here, another strong drop as well. So I'm looking at something similar for another push to the downside. So that's very much how I see the dollar at this moment in time, but there might be some nice buys on the way up here for dollar, and maybe some nice sells in euro um, on the way down there as well. But I'm more interested in that sell. So that's really how I look at the dollar at the moment. In terms of GJ, let's see what's going on with GJ. Why does GJ look so bad? Excuse me. Okay, let's drop to the 5. Okay, so wow, a lot happened since we last spoke. I always forget about that with the 5 minute because I'm so used to looking at the full hour and the hourly charts. When I do take a look at the 5 minute chart and I come back the next day, so much has happened. It's crazy. I think last time we were over here, weren't we? We're talking about a retest of this area, which we did see some downsides, just not as much as I was expecting. As I was looking for a push back to the low there. We did get a nice short there. However, it only went about 2/3 of the way before absolutely flying to the upside there. Since then, though, it looks like we kind of repeated the action a little bit. We took out the highs here, and then that went into a nice kind of bearish trend a little bit. Overall, it does look pretty flat, to be honest, because I was generally expecting this to be the next swing high, and then of course the push to the low. That's what I was looking for. But since we've broken through the high again, I suppose that could be the high, but I'm less confident now because I would expected that momentum to have continued. The fact that we've pushed back up again and now we're having a very slow push down means that we might form a big range here and just mess about. Or it could be a situation when price is slowly kind of getting ready to do something like that with a big push to the upside. The shorts, which I was looking for yesterday, don't look as likely. Again, it's hard to say what will happen with the markets if we knew that. Yeah, it would be elite traders at that point. But with pound yen, judging how correct we are, how prolonged this move is, I would probably be getting ready for a push to the upside again, back to highs. We did mention a trend line, I'm pretty sure. Respect to the trend line. Okay, so connecting these lows here. Yeah. So I'll probably still be looking at the buys there, to be honest. It's a nice location for a buy. Probably get a nice stop loss as well in terms of the size of the stop loss relatively tight to that low. And risk to reward looks pretty good. Should we see a swing back to the high or even halfway as well? Even if it's back to resistance here, probably get a nice 30, 40 pip move there. But there's potential for pushback to the high. So yeah, pound yen probably a little bit sideways here on the lower time frames, but I would probably still have that bullish bias based on that structure there. Looking for a push to the high, potentially could start a bigger move there, but I wouldn't get too greedy. So yeah, I think pound yen's not looking great, but I would have a bullish bias on the lower time frames. On the 4-hour chart, I'm still bearish on that one. Still waiting to see how price develops. It's been pretty much sideways for a while now. I'm still looking to see what we can do at that high. Possibly this could be the start of that move. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at for GJ. Ahmed, US 30 Nasdaq. Okay, we'll have a look at that. No problem. We will take a look. CC integrated, no problem. Happy to help. Just intraday DXY 106.9 to 107.3 or 107.6, but we'll trail my stop with tight SL. Okay. Let me have a quick look at that, and I'll go through the indices together. So you're looking at intraday move, 106.9, which is around here. So I'm guessing that's where you entered. Stop loss, but we'll try my stop loss really tight. Okay, 107.3 to 107.6. Okay, so anywhere around there. So yeah, I think that looks good, to be honest. I think that looks good. So of course you got the low here, which I suppose is where you got your first target at to be concerned about. I'm looking at that kind of 4-hour zone up there for a place where we could sell from. And that kind of lines up with your second target. So in terms of targets, I think it makes a lot of sense. In terms of what USD is doing, we're slowly pushing to the upside, very, very slowly, but the market's been pretty persistent with those higher lows. So it looks like we're slowly gaining pace to the upside. And judging where price is, the fact we've taken out some big lows there as well, and now we're starting to see some corrective behavior to the upside, I think the buys look really good intraday. Push to 107.3. I mean, probably like 2/3 of the way there. So I would guess that we've got a good chance of getting there. Likewise with your second target as well. So yeah, from a intraday perspective, short term, I would be pretty bullish on the USD. Of course, the move I'm looking at is the sell there, but I need price to get there first. So of course, I will be anticipating some upside. And judging where we are, right at the low there, judging the fact that the market's still overly bullish, it's actually not a bad place for a long actually for US dollar. So I like it, and targets I like as well. So yeah, I'll just see how that trade plays out. You said you're going to trail stop loss pretty tight, so if price does roll over, you'll be protected. I think just let price do its thing. If it's going to hit your target, it's going to hit your targets. But in terms of the analysis, I do very much agree with that. It looks good. So yeah, nice position. Okay, so once we reach the levels, we'll switch bearish. Okay, so yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. I like it. I like it. So yeah, hopefully price can go and hit your targets there. But in terms of the analysis, I do very much agree. I have a similar outlook there. So in terms of US 30 and NASDAQ, yeah, US 30 NASDAQ, yeah, it's just been very slow for US 30. My analysis hasn't really changed for the past week or so now. For US 30, again, pretty much looking at the longs down at the low here and looking for the breakouts past the high here. We do have the all-time highs to our left, which price hasn't quite taken out yet, but we're pretty much trading in the same vicinity right now. And I said yesterday that if price does give us a nice breakout, because I'm pretty sure NASDAQ's had a pretty good breakout, looks like S&P might be looking to follow to follow along. Yeah, it looks like it's trying to break out, although it's stalling a little bit now. Yeah, US 30 just hasn't really seen much momentum like at all. So with this one, I would wait to see if we can break the high. If we do break the high well, that would be a strong sign that says, okay, the buyers are back in control. The overall trend is still up, still ticking away, and we're just looking at the next leg, keeping it very, very simple, just what US 30 does. However, we may not get that. We may push back to the low end first, which I think is still a really nice place for a long. Of course, we'll see how price reacts, but this is a really nice place for a buy. Stop loss below the low. This way you can minimize your risk in terms of the distance between entry and stop loss. Have it just below the lows here and maximize targets as well. Should we see a swing back to the high, could be looking at a very handsome risk reward there. If price does break through this, then it could insinuate a lot more downside, potentially a bit of a counter trend move. I wouldn't necessarily be bearish in US 30 because overall, I need price to kind of break through lows down here for me to be looking at a big sell. If price does break through the low here, we could probably see some downside. I would end up expecting us to push back up again, unless, of course, we take out some lows. But at the moment, it is just very much a flat pair, which is respecting highs pretty well and respecting lows just as well too. So in terms of the longs, which is what I would be focused on, especially from a swing outlook, 43,900 and the break me test of 45K is kind of what I'll be looking at. US 30 to me is just very, very flat right now. So unless we get to one of those areas, I would kind of just leave it alone. Trying to look for too much in here, I feel like it's just a very tricky place to be looking to work in. I'm sure there's lower time frame opportunities, but it's just because of how price is fluctuating. The odds of you getting wicked out or just taken out is just far greater when you're trading inside those messy areas. What's up, Roland? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing well. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, let me go take a look at NAS and have a look at S&P as well whilst we are at it. So yeah, NAS had a really nice breakout. Looks like it's starting to stall a little bit. see on the daily time frame for those wicks, but nonetheless, we've left behind a really nice level of prior resistance turn support, which is essentially what I want to see US 30 do, break out resistance well, and then come back to retest. So overall, US 100, NASDAQ expecting more upside. If I go to the higher time frames, what do we have? Pretty clear-cut bullish trend on our hands here. So expecting more of the same. It's just about finding opportunities to take price higher. With NAS, this is what I'll be looking at, a retest of this zone and then expecting a follow through. If we do come back with inside the range, that's where things get a little bit awkward, and I'll probably leave it alone at that point. But should we respect this area at 21,850, I feel that's a great place for a long, especially because we had a lot of momentum on the breakout as well. There was a nice kind of impulse and move there, which illustrates there's a lot of momentum on that break. If it was kind of very slow and corrective, then I wouldn't get too excited, but it was a decent breakout. So the continuation is of good probability. Like I said, if you do come back within the range, I would just leave it alone, to be honest. Yeah, it just doesn't become very clean at that point. And S&P 500, this one, I'm not a big fan of S&P, despite the momentum we had over the past few days. I say that because we're kind of just about breaking the highs, and then after that, we're selling off pretty harshly. So as you can see, price broke the highs there, kind of a slow corrective move. We absolutely tanked. We did that again, broke the highs there, didn't really see much upside, then we tanked. We just broken highs just about again now. Potentially, are we going to tank? We could do, but there is a recurring theme here for S&P, which I can't ignore. So although I would be much of a big fan of just waiting for price to break highs and looking for retests and continuations, in this specific environment right now for S&P, that's not really a good play based on how price is moving. If we were to suddenly have a really big break to the upside and that shows a lot of momentum, then of course that shows that things are changing, and then yeah, a pullback does make sense. But in this moment in time, as price breaks the highs, we do tend to sell off. So I would be kind of a bit skeptical and staying back a little bit just in case we do have another big sell, because we're primed up in an area for that to happen. And also the way price is taking out the high, it does look like we potentially could see that happen. So I mean, if you're looking for some shorts, now is not a bad time. It's a very, very aggressive trade. You're literally shorting the new all-time high there for S&P. So it's never a trade idea I would look to take myself. But we're in an area where we probably could see him push to the downside. There might be some nice longs as we have that push, potentially back into support down there, or potentially into lows here. So I'll probably be looking at that areas for some bounces. But I would be careful about getting too longs at the current price based on how we've been moving. The odds of us seeing a reaction is pretty high. Of course, how big of one, that's a different question. But we're just in an area where price has been reacting pretty aggressively. So I'd watch out for that. And if you look at the prior trend, you know, when we do break highs, we tend to go a lot further. So it's a clear sign that S&P is starting to run out of steam a little bit. It might just be a bit of a phase where price consolidates for a while before continuing. It might be the start of potentially a bit of a counter trend move. We don't know. But one thing is for sure is that we are really struggling at the highs here. So I would avoid buying at the high. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with the US indices. In general, just still very bullish, but I'm seeing some red flags a little bit. So buys look good, but have to be patient and wait for the appropriate opportunity. That's good to hear, Roland. Good to hear, my man. Sultan, Euro USD, dollar yen. Yes, we'll take a look. No problem. Good morning, Alex. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Fonzo, still in silver. Past few days, okay. 31.95, TP 34.14. Is this still looking good? Okay, I'll go for Euro USD, dollar yen first, and we'll have a look at silver for you. So yeah, Euro USD, I'm pretty bullish on. Looking for a high low. Basically, I've got a couple of areas I'm looking at for that buy. The plan this week was for price to come back into the high here and then back into this resistance here. So that's where I see price pushing towards. We do have this kind of slow bottoming of that bearish trend we've had for a while. So if you zoom out, we've been falling for quite a long while. Now price is kind of slowing down with lower lows. Now it's starting to form some higher lows. So I do expect to see Euro USD do something like this over the next few days. Hence why I'm pretty bullish, and also do have a pretty bearish bias on the dollar as well. I'm looking at these two areas for buys for euro. At the moment, we're looking pretty bearish. We'll see what we can do at this level. I know we're looking bearish now, but potentially this time tomorrow, we could be seeing a really strong rejection. So things can change quickly. If we do end up breaking through, that will be looking more so around the 1.035 area for some longs. Got some nice trendline confluence in this area, as well as some nice demand level. We had a strong push to the upside and really haven't come back to retest it. So I would like to see price come back and retest that area if this first level doesn't hold, of course. But in terms of targets for euro, expecting another push to the upside, looking for basically the next high low. We've got one there, second one there, looking for the third. And if everything goes well, we could see a push back to 1.06 as well. So I'm actually pretty bullish in euro. Still pretty bearish in USD. So that kind of lines up together. But of course, at the moment, there is no sign of bullish pressure. The market's had a really strong close to the downside, and we're looking pretty bearish intraday. So I'll be careful with that. But I do expect this to be the short-term move and the bigger term move. Bigger term? Longer term. Bigger term. Longer term move back to the high. So that's very much the play I have for Euro USD at the moment in time. In terms of dollar yen, so dollar yen pretty bearish as well. Again, unfortunate not to get into a trade there, but hopefully we might come back to retest it still. That's kind of what I'm waiting for or hoping for dollar yen. I'm still looking at a pretty big move to the downside for this one. But in terms of opportunities, I kind of want to see price either break through the lows and then start to look for some pullbacks afterwards, or come back and retest some support turn resistance. We'd be pretty consistent with these lower highs here. The plan is, can we continue? Can we find another one? If not, then I'll wait for price to break the lows and then look for opportunities on the retest. Of that level. But the way I see dollar yen shaping up is like we've had some bullish structure on the left. Price has tried to go bullish, but hasn't quite seen the momentum needed to break structure. And it formed another lower high on the 4-hour chart and came crashing back down. So with dollar yen, I do expect to see a lot more downside. If price has a sudden strong move and we break out of this area like that, then of course I would hold my hands up and might start reinvestigating that bullish bias for a push back to the high. But if we don't do that, which of course we haven't done at this point in time, I'm expecting a lot more downside. So those are the two opportunities I'm kind of looking at for dollar yen in terms of a nice swing trade. At the moment, we're coming into support. Not really interested about the buy. More interested with the sell. So see if price does come back up to test resistance again. Got some nice confluence there with the trend line, or we just break through and then we look for the next opportunity. But in terms of the longer term move, if we do end up breaking structure, which is taking out this low here, then I'm expecting a really big push back down to 140, 141, which is that level of support. So I do still see a pretty big move for dollar yen over the next coming days, should we maintain this bearish structure in the 4-hour chart, which is basically maintaining all these lower highs. As long as we don't break through them, expecting a really big sell. So yeah, pretty bearish in dollar yen, expecting a pretty big move down, bullish on Euro USD, just looking at catching this pullback really, and hopefully you can find some longs shortly after. I will go through silver next. Alfonso says got position, looking for a swing all the way back to 34.14. Gold, yes, Alex will take a look as well. Season group we're halfway to 107.3 DXY, looking good. Yeah, we are seeing that momentum there with USD. So hopefully we'll smash 107.3. Hopefully before New York, but if not by then. Do you have some dollar news today? Actually, we do have FOMC, don't we? It's only the FOMC minutes, but that is this evening, I'm pretty sure. Unless I'm seeing things. Nope. Yeah. So 7 o'clock UK time, FOMC minutes. But before that, we do have building permits at 1:30. Again, not the biggest news in the world, but can cause a bit of movement. So keep an eye on that. and then of course FMC in the afternoon, in the evening. But yeah, I do fancy more upside for USD, at least for that retracement anyway. I'm still looking for the overall weakness in the dollar, but I do think a bit more retracement, and 107.3 is looking pretty good. Anyway, let me go through silver. So Afonso, you said you're in a long position for silver. Targets 34.14. Okay, yep, I remember the position you mentioned last week. 34.14 entry. I mean target, sorry, is around there somewhere. Entry 31.95. Around there. So yeah, I mean momentum's looking good. It looks like we've broken through some major resistance. Prices had a lot of trouble trading at this level. Looks like we've broken through and had a successful retest as well. So going forward, things are looking pretty bullish for silver. If we can take out this high, then I think push back to 34.86 looks really good. So your target should be hit along the way. But yeah, I'm pretty bullish on silver. I expect a lot more upside as well. Stop loss in silver 31.2. Okay, so you're still keeping your stop loss down there, which looks like it's just below the low there. So yeah, I think it still looks pretty good. I would manage the trade however you plan to manage the position. Momentum looks good. We just cracked through some major resistance, which I feel like is going to give you a trade the green flag to actually go and hit your targets now, because things were looking really good on Friday. Was that Friday? Yeah, really big push to the upside. Things were looking really good. Then we came crashing right back down. So that made things really, really awkward. But now it looks like price is committing to the upside, retesting the zone as well. So as long as we don't have a crazy sell again, um, things should be remaining bullish there for silver. And yeah, I do expect us to make a move back to the swing high here on the left, which is all the way at 34.86. And your target is along the way. So yeah, things are looking pretty good there for silver. In terms of gold, gold looks like it's trying to reinstate that bullish trend as well. Looks like we're trying to break the high, which we struggled to break last week. So with gold, I didn't really like that double top there. That did put me off. Looking for more upside there for gold. I did say yesterday if that we are going to break the high, then let's break it confidently. Then yeah, I'll be bullish on gold again, because essentially with gold we've had resistance multiple occasions, but every time price does break through, we do see a lot of momentum to the upside, which shows to us that the buyers are very much in control. When we had that double top last week, that was kind of the first time price was really respecting high and rejected it very firmly. So that was a sign that, okay, the sellers are starting to hold this level. Buyers don't really have enough juice to take it higher. So it was very, very awkward. But if price can break to the upside and at least do it a bit with a bit more confidence, a few more candles to the upside, that will show to me that, okay, buyers are in control again. Resistance is completely broken through. This is now going to be acting as support most likely. And of course, pullbacks and retests will look good to take gold forward. We still got that big 3K psychological level just above us there. I wonder if price is just going to go and test that level. It's so close, so I think there's a good chance for it. But I was looking for a bigger correction there for gold, but now that it looks like price is going to break the high, I would wait to see a bit more evidence on the breakout and then look for some pullbacks and more upside. So yeah, gold potentially, the trend is very much in full flow again. And if that's the case, then onwards and upwards. It's been a very impressive move for gold. Just consistent higher lows and higher highs. And now it looks like price is making another higher high. So yeah, in terms of probability, the chance of us price seeing more upside is a lot greater than suddenly price turning around and selling off now that we're breaking through resistance. So just expecting more upside at this point. But I do want to see a more convincing break to the upside. If we close back below the level, yeah, things are back awkward again, and I'll leave price alone. But if we do see a confident break in terms of maybe a couple more 4-hour candles to the upside, then yeah, we've got a nice pullback opportunity to long gold, and 3K is a nice area to target as well. So that's kind of where I'll be with gold. What's up, Yusuf? I am doing good, my man. Hope you're well. Welcome. Okay, so we'll go through some yen pairs because yen pairs have seen a bit of movement. Unfortunately, not much bullish movement though. It looks like they're looking a little bit bearish. We already had a look at dollar yen, so let's go take a look at pound yen, which we had a look on the 5-minute chart. Yeah, I mean, I've been looking for a push back to the highs here for the yen pairs. Quite a few of them, very similar setups: euro yen, pound yen, Swiss yen, dollar yen, even CAD yen as well. Looking for the push to the upside, but it looks like we're kind of getting some momentum right now. Again, in terms of the analysis of what I'm expecting longer term, again, it hasn't really changed for a very long time. Still looking for a push to these lows here. It's been a very slow, choppy run there for these yen pairs. I'm expecting eventually us to get that move. So the plan for myself is always just looking to try and catch that low high. If we could see a push back to the resistance there, I would look for entries for a nice double top and at least a swing back to the low. Then I will look to see if I can hold some positions to run. At the moment, it doesn't look like we're going to get that retest. At the moment, of course, things can change very quickly. I'm still going to be keeping a very close eye to see if we get that opportunity, but I do have a bearish bias. It's just about looking for entries to actually take some positions here. But yeah, going forward, pound yen to me looks really bearish. Expecting a lot more downside for this one. And as long as we don't break structure, which is this past swing high there, because of course this is the high which gave us this swing to the downside. So as long as we don't break through that, that bearish bias stays intact. I mean, even if it does break through, it will still stay intact. I'll just be looking at a much bigger move to the upside first before the sell. But I'm basically looking for the continuation of this bearish structure here and another swing down. So if we can get pushed to the upside, that'd be great. Although I'm not too sure if we will. If I look at euro yen, it looks like we're in a similar boat as well. So yeah, this one just keeps falling. So the odds of us getting that retest of the high there look very slim right now. Yeah, look very slim. I was looking for price to kind of have a bit of a correction because we had a really impulsive push. Last week was a very impulsive move to the upside, which typically do normally give us some follow throughs, or at least attempt to anyway. Very rarely do you see an impulsive move. Well, you do see it occasionally, but it's not much for pullbacks. Normally, this happens at the top of trends when you get like a nice trend and you have really climatic move to the upside. The price comes really sharply back down again. That's normally a sign of a trend about to reverse. Normally, pullbacks, at least the healthy ones anyway, a lot slower. And if it are impulsive and it shoots up really quickly, sometimes it will consolidate and fade to the upside before continuing. Very rarely it will stop on a dime and just come back down. But of course, everything's probability, so everything does have its day and everything does happen from time to time. It looks like that's kind of the situation we've got here with euro yen. It's been a slow fall anyway, but looks like we're slowly picking up the pace and might just eventually do that. In terms of the market structure, though, it's pretty bearish for euro yen, so I'm only really interested in the shorts. And yeah, it would be nice to get that retest for the sell and find some entries there. But we might just kind of keep falling without me. Targets are back at the low there at 156. Again, in terms of the bigger move, there's a massive head and shoulder pattern here at play. Left head, right shoulder. There's your neckline. Expecting price to break through that pretty soon. So in my book, euro yen looks like a really good sell with a lot of downside opportunity, which is again why I'm not too concerned about finding entries right now, because I'm expecting us to go and hit 148, 146, 144. So between now and then there will be opportunities for pullbacks. It's just that I might not find this one here because I don't get an entry. So there will be opportunities later on. There's always opportunities, but you just might have to be patient. It might come out in a while. But of course, euro yen's not the only pair I'm trading, so it's not a big deal. But yeah, that is what I'm interested in with euro yen. But at this rate, we might just keep falling. CHF JPY, another one which I liked as well. This was the bonus pair on the weekly analysis. Was looking for a retest of the high there. Still am, and potentially that still very much could be the play. Not going to rule it out at all. We could still come up, retest the high, and continue. Again, with CHF JPY being very consistent with these lower highs here as well. And I'm very much just looking for the continuation of that. And that is where I'm looking to see if I can find some entries to take it back to the downside into the low. And again, CTF-JPY, another market on the higher time frames, which is giving us a really nice head and shoulder play. So there's your left head, right shoulder, there's your neckline, and of course looking for a really big break of that as well. So CTF-JPY, I do expect to see a lot more downside longer term. Hence why I do really like this as a swing setup, because it could go very, very far should we really see that breakout. But yeah, in terms of entries as well, this has been the opportunity. Will we get there? We don't know. Again, big part of trading is just waiting for the opportunities to present. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. In this situation, we'll have to wait and see. But again, it's been like a slow fall for Swiss yen, similar to Euro yen, similar to pound yen as well. And I wonder if we're just going to keep slowly falling to the downside, or maybe we have one more push, maybe suck in some traders in the opposite direction for us to see that follow through. So that would be really, really nice if we can get that, but we'll have to wait and see. But that is the play I'm looking at there for Swiss yen. In terms of CAD JPY as well, pretty bearish bias with this one. It's been a very slow push to the downside again, especially after such an impulsive move. So I did say if we were to get retest the high, could find some shorts back there again for a continuation. Again, CAD yen hasn't been my favorite yen pair, just because the past bearish leg has been so corrective, hasn't really given me much momentum there, to be honest. So I haven't really been in love with the price action as I am with other yen pairs, Euro yen, Swiss. There's a lot of momentum there, even pound as well. This is just a very corrective bearish leg. So that's why I'm not so keen on shorting it, but I'm fully aware that these yen pairs, they tend to move as a gang. So if one's going to have a big sell like this, they're all going to have a big sell, because yen is the dominant currency. If yen is going to be strong, it's normally stronger than the rest. If yen's going to be very weak, it's weaker than the rest. So it does dictate everything most of the time. So with CAD yen, again, massive head and shoulder pattern at play. There's your neckline, and expecting price to pretty much break through that pretty soon. And just seeing if I can find some opportunities along the way. At the moment, nothing's really there for me. And again, CAD yen, not my favorite yen pair, because that leg does not really give me a lot of confidence to follow. In terms of Aussie yen and New Zealand yen, these guys have been pretty slow as well. I did say I will contemplate some entries. These are not my favorite yen pairs either, because again, they're very corrective. But I wouldn't mind the possibility of a retest of the trend line, looking for the next lower high and some shorts off the back of that. That could end up being a nice trade back into the low, and potentially further as well. If I go to the daily chart, I'm still looking for Aussie yen to go and take out this wick low. That's still very much the plan. And if I go to New Zealand yen, that's still very much the plan as well. Go take out this wick low here too. So very, very bearish with Aussie yen, very bearish with New Zealand yen, and looking for something like this for New Zealand, and then a push back to the low, and again, so on and so forth. So very, very bearish with these yen pairs. I do still see a lot more downside, but I have to be patient, because not really seeing the opportunities present themselves as I want them to. So hopefully we can get those pullbacks. If they keep falling, they keep falling, but there's only so much I can do apart from just wait to see if we can find some opportunities. I think that's all the yen pairs. I will have a look at the yen basket as well. Good to hear, Yusuf. Good to hear. What's up, Lauda? Welcome to the stream. Welcome. Don't know if I said hello to you. Didn't think I did. Lauda, can you please take a look at Aussie CHF? Took a sell from 0.573. Hope to continue with previous high. Okay. Yeah, I'm still in my sell position. Price came back into resistance. My stop loss is just above the high. So I'm still in the position, but we will go through that. Dark trend GJ finally broke the 5-minute trend line. Now I need retracement to short entries. Okay. I think I saw that, to be fair. We'll go through that as well. What's up, C integrated? Close DXY from 0.6 to 1. Don't worry. I don't want to get too greedy. We'll wait for another opportunity to long again. Okay. As long as it doesn't hit 1.97315. Okay, just sharing. Okay, fair enough. But yeah, it was a nice position. Again, profit at the end of the day. If you had a valid reason for closing the trade, then of course But profit at the end of the day. It was a nice position. Yeah, if you had the valid reason to close it, then yeah, the trade has done its job. Yusuf had 2 long positions on Euro USD, both tapped into stop loss. I'm stepping away until I have proper setup. I also closed my long position on gold today. Okay, nice. Yeah, again, as you gain experience, you will go through tough times as well. Trading is not something where you just learn something and then boom, you're killing it. Yeah, it's never that simple. And sometimes you are just killing it, but I can guarantee you will go through some tough times as well. So, training is very much a thing of experience. You know, in terms of technical analysis, we're never really trading anything that's too complicated. We're not necessarily Einsteins here, but the application of strategies is very precise, and you learn that precision with experience. Okay, maybe I shouldn't take this trade because of XYZ, or I should take this trade because of XYZ, even though the setups may look very similar, but you take this trade, but you don't take that trade because of experience, and you learn things along the way. And that's why journaling is so important. So, yeah, as you gain experience, you will go through some tough times 100%, as everyone does. And you'll be a better trader for it. But keep it up. Again, make sure you're recording your trades. You can look back over them. That will make you so much stronger in the future. Worst thing to do is take a trade and not record it, because in 6 months from now, a year from now, you're not going to remember what trade you took, and it's not gonna benefit you for it. Anyway, we'll go through Aussie Chef. We'll take a look at GJ as well. Lighton, what's up? Good to have you on the streamer, man. Hope not too late for you to get an Aussie dollar. I will have a look at those pairs. They're still my watch list. Looks like they're actually retracing as well. So hopefully some opportunities could be presenting themselves pretty soon. Let me have a quick look at the JPY basket, and then I'll get through some requests. If I can spell, there we go. So the end basket hasn't really done too much since we last spoke. I did say I'm looking to see if we can get another push to the low here before the buy. Yeah, maybe the end basket just slowly pushes to the upside anyway. But again, with the end basket, I know the direction I'm looking to play, which is to the upside. This looks like a really nice bottom, which price is forming after a very strong impulsive leg. Looking at this as like a flag pattern or a correction, and expecting some follow through in the opposite direction, which is again pretty much what I'm looking for, the end pairs in the opposite direction. And it looks like we're slowly picking up the pace to the upside there as well. So in terms of entries, it would be nice to get something like that, which kind of continues to this kind of this trend with the low, high, low, high, low, high. So that's what I would be looking there for the end basket, which will give me the opportunities on pound yen. Looking for another push to the upside before a sell. Give me the opportunity on euro yen. Looking for another push to the upside before a sell. CAD yen as well, even though I'm not really so focused on this one, but it would line up for a nice setup there at the high. Swiss yen too. Nice setup at the high there, and even Aussie and New Zealand yen as well. Nice push to the upside, and New Zealand yen as well. So that one move down the yen basket could really just set up a lot of yen pairs for myself or entries. It may or may not happen. We'll have to wait and see. Like I said, we might just keep pushing away to the upside. If that's the case, that's the case. But if we do come back down, I'm going to be very interested in some longs there for the yen basket, but shorts for the other yen pairs. And that really does map out my bias. But yeah, in terms of Aussie Chef, so this one has not been playing ball with me. It's just been messing around, still very much in drawdown. Price has come back into resistance. I think that's probably where you shorted from, Lauder, is it? 0.57, 523. 57, 523. Okay, so that's pretty much at the high there. Hope to continue with previous sell we had. Okay, so you're looking for the same move. Are you having targets down there, or do you have other targets you're looking at? But yeah, Aussie Chef for me is still a sell. I still do have my stop loss above the high. I've got it there for a reason. So I'm going to wait to see if price does stop me out, or if we do get the follow through and price is going to respect that area. We're still just about holding onto the trend line. First test, second test, and the third test there as well. Hence why I had my stop loss above that area to give a bit more wiggle room. We're going to see if it does continue or if it does just go and break out. But I am looking at a really big sell here for Aussie CHF back to the low. I'm hanging on by a thread, but at the end of the day, I've got to let price respect my stop loss, because that will dictate if the trade is actually failing or not. If price does break through the resistance there and takes my stop, that's a sign that, okay, price is actually breaking out and we're probably going to get a bigger move to the upside. So I don't want to be in the trade at that point. But since we haven't done that yet, we're just going to hold on and see what price has in store for us. But yeah, it's come back into a nice place. If you're not in Aussie CHF, this is actually a nice place for an entry right at the top of the trend line and coming back into resistance there as well. So your entry be a lot more refined than mine. Could be something like this or even a lot more tidy than that. And of course, the risk reward is going to be so much greater. You might not be looking for a push all the way back to the low necessarily, but there is that possibility. You can take profits somewhere else and leave positions to run for a really nice winner. So there is that opportunity there for Aussie CHF. And I'm still looking for that bigger move back down to these lows here. Should we continue, I'll leave some positions to run for that. But yeah, it's a really nice place. I think if you're looking to get into Aussie CHF, it's actually a really nice place for it. You can refine your stop loss very well. And the risk reward, should we see a continuation of this trend, is pretty high as well. So I think it's in a really nice place for it. Where was I? Thabo, yes, we'll go through the DAX as well, no problem. Lauder, taking it to our target. Should it behave? Okay. Yeah, should it behave, we'll get there. But yeah, the risk reward will be looking very, very nice there. So, there's a lot of downside opportunity, which is why I really like the trade initially as well. The setup was good, but the fact that I can potentially swing it back to the all-time low there, well, the all-time low is actually over here, but more or less in the same vicinity, does pique my interest. The only thing I don't like about it is that you're paying negative swaps, and it can be a very slow pair as well, and it kind of has, to be honest. So that's the only thing I don't like. But I will take most of my profit down at this low anyway, so yeah, I'll let the rest do its thing. But we've got to get there first, so let's hope it does behave. Anyway, we'll go through GJ. Dark Sean says it's broken the 5-minute trend line. Now looking for shorts. I will take a look at Aussie dollar, USD CAD, and the DAX in a second. Okay, so we did have that move there. So it looks like price is breaking through the trend line there as well. So you're looking at shorts below the trend line, I assume, Dark Sean. GJ finally broke the 5-minute trend line. Now need a retracement to find short entries. Okay, so yeah, it's been a little bit erratic. That was quite a aggressive wick there we're leaving behind. But yeah, if that's the case, if price is breaking the trend line and we're not forming the higher low, then of course that becomes the new target we're expecting price to end up. And I would like to see a bigger push to the upside down the 5-minute for some entries, because we're forming these highs here. This is like a nice double top at the high, nice push to downside. We form this high, nice push down. Would be nice to see if we can get a slightly bigger retracement, perhaps into this kind of area. Maybe there's a nice 5-minute trend line there that could line up pretty well. I would say that would look like a nice entry there on the 5. I know we're kind of breaking back above the trend line a little bit, but I feel like that would be a really nice area of confluence to short from. Then targets back into the low look good, and perhaps if we're lucky, potentially that low there as well, we can leave some positions to run. But in terms of opportunities, I would say that's where I would be most excited about. 199.4, nice trend line confluence, and also coming to a nice area of supply. I think that would be a really nice place for a short. And if price does break through that, then I wouldn't be looking to short anymore, because we might be bullish again. So that would be a nice place to get the stop loss above and take a short. But yeah, the trend line there on the 5-minute has broken. So that is a signal that says, okay, sellers are stronger than we thought, and perhaps we're going to get sell off back to the low now. No problem, Yusuf. Happy to help. Okay, that's what you're looking at. Nice. Yeah, so it looks good down the 5-minute chart. I would just wait to see if we can get that pullback, and yeah, I'll be expecting a lot more downside. Okay, so I'll go take a look at dollar CAD and Aussie dollar. So yeah, dollar CAD, Aussie dollar, same situation as we left it yesterday, looking at a lot more downside for these guys. Again, dollar CAD testing a humongous level in the weekly chart. So we're looking for a reaction from that. And this is a big level in the weekly chart where we're expecting price to get to. In terms of the 4-hour chart, we've left behind a really nice range from last week or the week before. It's a really nice range there, which price broke to the downside. Now the plan is looking for a retest of that for the continuation to the downside, at least back to the lows here. So for example, if we do pull back from here, then that of course becomes your first target back into the low. Should we break through that, then we can look at that big weekly zone just below us. But yeah, dollar CAD just has been very flat, so it hasn't really been providing much talking points really, because we're just sideways since the bottom of last week. So with dollar CAD, bearish bias. However, looking for some retracement first. As long as we don't break the high of this range, so as long as price doesn't go like this, if we do that, then I won't be interested in the sells as much for dollar CAD anymore. But if we can respect the range here, then that would definitely keep me bearish, and I'll be looking at a pretty big push to the low. Aussie dollar, pretty much the same thing, but flipped. So again, Aussie dollar, nice range there, really strong move to the upside. Looking for the retest of that before expecting a lot more upside. Again, where we're trading Aussie dollar in a really big level of support, massive move to the upside. We're there again. Really nice double bottom there on the daily chart. So we formed the low once, price pushed up, respect to the low again, really strong push to the upside. Following that, and of course, price breaking through highs as well. So that's another sign that says, okay, we're pushing. We're starting to turn in direction, because we've been very bearish for a while. Now that price is struggling to break lower, we're continuously breaking through the highs, once over there, twice over there. So it's a sign that says, okay, highs are breaking, lows are being respected, or at least being rejected anyway. And of course, we're trading at a massive weekly level of support. And now that we're breaking to the upside, it's a strong sign that says, okay, most likely you're going to see more upside now with Aussie dollar. So yeah, looking for the retest of this consolidation. And from there as well, I expect more upside. Again, I don't want to see price break through this low here. As long as we can respect that, we can pull back very deep within the range. As long as we don't break through, that keeps me bullish. If price does break through, again, I'll relax that bias a little bit. I'll still probably be bullish, but I'd probably be a little bit more careful with entries to take Aussie dollar higher. But yeah, still very bullish, and I do think we can see some retracement with this one. In terms of the DAX, so let's take a look at that one. So with this one, yeah, it's just been absolutely flying, hasn't it? Absolutely flying. This has been so bullish. So yeah, I was looking for bigger retracement, because we had such a clean retracement over here, such a massive breakout, lovely retest, looking for that pattern to repeat. And I looked at this high as well, which we did get like a very quick minor break and retest, but I was looking for a much bigger one. Then price continued. In fairness, we did hold support there, and we did get a follow through. Looks like we're having a bit of a recovery now with that bearish candle there. That's a pretty big bearish candle as price is falling right now. Again, the market is still very stretched, so I do expect to see a pullback. Yes, we're very bullish in terms of the current climate, but especially when we're seeing heavy momentum like that, it might be time for a bit of a pullback. But I would wait for development before looking to short. And what I mean by that is some bearish structure. So if I drop to the hourly chart, I like to see price go and put in a lower high, and then I'll look to try and find the next lower high for a short. That would be something I'll be interested in for a sell, because I know price is really stretched, really overextended. Now it looks like we're seeing some really heavy selling pressure as well. This could be the start of a nice short opportunity. If we're still looking for longs, then as we do approach the range high here on the left, that is still not a bad place for a long. But I can tell that things are looking a little bit different now. We're not retracing as healthy as I would expected. This is a really big bearish candle, by the way. We'll see how it does close in the next 20 minutes. But it is falling quite aggressively right now, and it's giving me characteristics of potentially a high that price might be putting in. So if we do close aggressively and we see another lower high follow afterwards, then the next one after that is something I'll be interested in shorting. Again, nothing too crazy. Probably just take it back to the low. This is still very counter trend, but the opportunity would look good. If we start to leave behind an aggressive wick and we start to reject this area, it could still be a nice buy. But I do worry. I do worry because of that momentum. Is the other indices tanking hard as well? S&P not really. I think it's just the DAX that's having a breather, to be honest, and rightly so, because yeah, the DAX is just absolutely insane right now. So yeah, looking for some counter trend plays, which are a little bit more aggressive, but given the climate, it does make sense. But that next low high is pivotal because, like I said, we could very much form support and just be on our way again. So if you do form a lower high and continue, then the shorts look good after that. So yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at from a seller's perspective. Buyer's perspective, I'll see what we can do on the retest of the high, which is 22,600. See what we can do there. There might be a nice setup, but we've got to start to show some wicks and signs of slowing down. You can see we've had some bearish candles before, but we slowed down afterwards. We left behind some big wicks there as well. Now we're just getting two heavy bearish candles, so that is a bit of a red flag. Of course, we still got about 18 minutes before that. I didn't know it closes at the half-hour mark. I was going to say we got 18 minutes before that candle does close. But then they will close at the half past mark. I didn't know that. The DAX closes at the half hour. Interesting. But yeah, we've got 18 minutes until that hourly candle does close. So we'll see how it does close. And if it closes aggressively, then I do think that will insinuate more downside. So you want to be careful, careful of that. How is the UK 100 doing since we're on the indice topic? Okay, so this one again, another one that's been very bullish for a while, but I do expect to see some correction very soon. Again, if I drop to the hourly chart, actually. So this one, again, some really nice structure, really heavy sell. If this is going to be a lower high in comparison to the high over there, then that could present some nice counter trend plays on the next bearish leg and a push to the downside. Something like that could line up pretty well. I'll never look to try and catch the first lower high, especially when the trend is very aggressive, because the odds of you catching that high are a lot slimmer than waiting for the next one. Because many times, especially in a very aggressively bullish trending market or bearish, when you are looking to try and short that lower high, more often than not, it does just continue to the trend and we just continue making new highs. But should we make another lower high, so now you got that confirmed. So you've got one over there, second over there. Then the third one actually becomes a decent opportunity to short because you've actually got some bearish structure to trade and there's a good chance we do sell off. Of course, it's not perfect. It will fail sometimes, but especially in a market that's very stretched, you do get some nice trades in that third lower high. Trying to call this one is just very difficult because more often than not, it just leads to continuation. Whereas now you've got some trend lines to work with, you've got some structure to work with, and some shorts do look good. Again, nothing crazy, just back to the low makes a load of sense there because it's still counter trend play. But yeah, looking for something like that with the FTSE, and that could end up being a nice short, perhaps maybe even a retest of that consolidation there. But we've got to break the lows first. We've got to break the lows, then yeah, we can start looking at something like that. And that might start a really big consolidation and very choppy market structure. So watch out for that. But anyway, so we're going to go through some of the indices. We're going to go through some of the crosses and take a look at them. We'll go through some of the CAD pairs as well. I haven't not been a big fan of the CAD pairs, to be honest. Pound CAD's been really flat, so I haven't really been looking for many opportunities here. To be honest, we've got really strong resistance above us and really strong support below us, and the market has just been dancing between both of these levels, and really just waiting for price to break through one of them before I do start to look for any entries. In the middle of all of this, sure, there might be some nice opportunities in the lower time frames, but I don't really see anything of high quality that at least fits what I'm looking at anyway. So that does kind of keep me away from trading pound CADs. And at the moment, we're just in the middle of nowhere, really. We're neither trading at major resistance, neither trading at major support. We're just in the middle of this range. So right now, I would very much stay away from pound CAD until we at least get to one of those areas, or preferably break through one of those areas. Then yeah, we could be looking at a continuation of this trend, or perhaps a counter trend move or reversal, and that will get me excited. So until we see something like that happen, I don't have too much to say about pound CAD. Euro CAD, similar situation really. Prices being incredibly flat as well. We've got equal highs running over here. We've got equal lows down here as well. And again, price has just been fluctuating between those areas, more so fluctuating between this area a little bit more. We haven't come back to revisit the low there for a while. And it's just been a very kind of difficult market to read, especially when you're looking at trend following and structure following. There isn't a really kind of overwhelmingly clear structure at this moment in time. Maybe got some bullish structure here, but again, doesn't really mean too much based on where we're situated and based on how price is looking. So with EuroCAD, it is in the bullish area. So if I had to, I would be looking at longs, but luckily I don't have to. There's just other markets that look a lot better, and I would stay away. Again, really what I'm looking for is to see if we can eventually break through some resistance and have some real momentum in the market and some real direction. If we can get that pretty soon, then I'll be interested in the market again. But at the moment, don't really have that at all. So just staying away. In terms of New Zealand CAD, I am looking at more downside for this one. A push back to the low is still very much the play I am looking at. You've got support here on the daily chart, which I'm still looking for price to come back and retest. And pretty sure we still got that bearish channel is still in play. So if I map it out, where's the channel? There it is. Is that the channel? Yeah. So we still do have this bearish channel in play, which is connecting the highs and lows. As we can see, first test, second test, third test there as well. So the play for New Zealand CAD has been a move back to the low. That's what I've been looking at for New Zealand CAD, a push back to 0.796. However, now it's starting to form some weird structure here. We've seen some momentum, but it's become very, very flat now. So again, in terms of jumping into any trades, doesn't really look good. I would stay away. Over here looked great, but now it doesn't. So at the moment, New Zealand CAD is just incredibly flat. I wouldn't see an opportunity to jump in. If we do break to the upside with some momentum, possibly there could be some nice breakout opportunities or pullbacks afterwards. But again, because we've broken through some daily structure here, taking out some lows there and taking up some lows here as well, that to me is a sign that I'm expecting more downside, not necessarily upside. So even if we do break to the upside, I probably wouldn't get too excited really, because I am actually looking for a bigger move back down to the low here. But of course, at least we have to go and test this level first. So still very bearish for New Zealand CAD, just very awkward price action. So I don't really see a setup there to trade. And until we clean up, yeah, I'll leave price alone. And then, of course, you've got Aussie CAD, which looks even worse. In terms of the higher time frame bias, I'm still looking for a push back to the low here. Try to go to the weekly chart, see a bit better. So I'm still looking for a push back into the low there. Still looking at the continuation of these major lower highs, one over there, the second over there of those two. And looking at this as the third. Third over there. And again, looking at another push back into support. So that's very much the play I'm looking at. But again, as I keep saying, there's one thing having a bias. There's another thing actually having a setup. Have the bias, but no setup to really trade it. We did have this channel at play, which is just still holding, I think. Is it? I don't know. Not really, to be honest. Again, not clear. Not clear cut, which is why I'm not looking for any opportunities. Again, the retest here was pretty nice, especially because we had a bit of a gap to the upside and price came back and closed below. So that was a nice kind of double top at the high of the range. But again, since then, market's been incredibly flat. It looks like we're trying to break outside of it as well. So Aussie CAD, although I'm still looking for a push down back into these lows and so on and so forth, based on how we're moving, it's made things really, really awkward. The bias might still be bearish, but do I have a good trade to take? No. Therefore, I've got to kind of sit on my hands there with Aussie CAD. And that's the situation you're going to find yourself a lot in as a trader. Might have a setup, or not a setup, sorry. You might have a direction where you expect the market to go. And you might just not have a trade to take. And you might feel a lot of fear of missing out. And you might feel a need to trade because you have a bias. So you need to make sure you're in the trade for that. That's very rarely how trading works. Trading is all about the setups, all about the edge, not about direction. Direction is actually not very important, especially when you're technical trade anyway. Fundamental is very important, but technical trade is all about the setup. It's all about the setup. If the setup's not there, there is no trade, no matter how likely prices are going to move in direction. If the setup ain't there, then there is no trade. Pound NZD, yeah, we had a lot of momentum for the NZD pairs, didn't we? Of course, we had the interest rates early this morning, and I woke up and saw NZD was looking very bullish, and of course, pound NZD had a really aggressive reaction to the downside. Euro NZD had a really aggressive reaction to the downside. I was actually selling off a little bit. So it's pushing back up now, but that was a very aggressive move to the downside as well. NZD CHF, that had a big push to the upside, I'm pretty sure. Haven't gone through the CHF pairs yet, have we? We'll go take a look at them earlier. In fact, we're actually getting probably a nice sell entry there as well. Nice push to the upside. Looks like again, nice bearish engulfing candle. Actually not a bad trade to take. Even if you're going to look for a smaller move back to this low here, that's actually not a bad trade. Longer term, in terms of a swing bias, I expect a lot more downside for New Zealand CHF. If the trend's going to continue, then I do expect us to eventually come back to the lows. You can see very much confident bearish trend at play, and shorting at the high is always a good idea. But even if you're looking for something a little bit more shorter term, I think that's still a nice play there for New Zealand CHF. But anyway, I got distracted. Pound NZD. So yeah, pound NZD, again, not a big fan of this one either. It looks like price is trying to break to the upside, but it's not clear cuts. We still got lower highs the market is printing, and still got higher lows. Again, I need price to kind of break out of this mess, commit to one direction, and then looking for opportunities as we pull back from that. Whether to the downside, to the upside, I'm not really too concerned, as I think there'll be nice opportunities in both directions. All I'm looking for is a strong breakout with momentum. Whether that's up or down doesn't really matter to me, because I know we can both buy and sell. So if there's a good sell setup, I'm selling. With a good buy setup, I'm buying. I just need price to be out of this mess, really. So that's really what I'm waiting for there for pound NZD at the moment. Still just no kind of update, really. I know price of respect the high there, but nothing much to see, especially in terms of shorting right now, because price is still being very consistent with the higher lows. If you do get short, you have to be very careful that we don't go for that next higher low and come back up against you. So need to be careful of that. Same thing with pound Aussie as well, in terms of the equal high, lower highs and higher lows, as we can see, and as we can see here as well. So I need price to again make a move, tell me which way it wants to go, and then I'll look to follow. Again, I want to see momentum as well. I don't want to see price just kind of slowly break to the downside. It needs to have some force, and then I'll look to follow that too, and then hopefully find some opportunities off the back of that. Again, whether to the downside or to the upside, not really my concern, just looking for a good setup. That's really the focus. Appreciate it, Sultan. Aussie CHF. Okay, I will have a look at Aussie CHF for you. So yeah, Aussie CHF, I'm currently still short on that one. To be fair, it does look like price is having a really good rejection at that high, so it's actually not a bad time to look for entries with a similar stop loss to mine as well. It's just that you'll be having a much better entry because of price coming back to retest the high. But in terms of the confluence of where Aussie CHF is trading, it's actually a really nice area. We've got the long-standing trend line here, 1, 2, and now we're looking for a third test. Of course, prices come back into the higher there as well. And essentially, especially from a swing point of view, We're just looking for the continuation of this bearish move and basically the continuation of the overall bearish trend, really. So there's a lot of downside possibility here with Aussie CHF. If we are trying to continue being bearish, expecting a push to these lows here, but more so a push back to these lows longer term. So the plan for myself is very much seeing if I can trade it back into the low here, take a good chunk of the profits, then seeing if we can swing the rest of the low. If I was being a lot more aggressive, I'll probably look to try and swing it back down here to one go. But the two main reasons why I'm not going to do that is because, number one, it could take a very, very long time for us to get there, because Aussie CHF does take its time. And if you get stuck in some consolidation, it could end up taking 6 months potentially to actually play out. And that might not be such a bad thing as well. I'm not against holding a trade for like 6 months, but I would be against it, especially when the swap is negative. Then it doesn't really become an ideal trade to hold. Again, the profits will probably still, well, they definitely still outweigh the cost of the swaps, but you're still giving a nice little chunk away. And if it's positive swaps, then you might as well, because if it does play out, you're still gaining more money from the swaps. Even if it does come to a break even, you still would have made money from the swap. So if it was positive, I probably would look for that big swing without too much worry. But because I know this is a pair that does take its time, and I'll be paying for that time as well, it doesn't really make too much sense. I don't mind holding a small positions to run. In terms of the bulk of the position, I do want it to kind of just take it at that low, which is still a decent risk reward for me, 2.87. Of course, if you can find some entries at this area here, you can much improve that risk reward. But yeah, it looks like price is having a really strong rejection at that level. So we'll see if that continues. I'm still very bearish with Aussie CHF. Stop loss is still above the high. As long as price doesn't take my stop, I still remain bearish. My stop's there for a reason, because if you do hit my stop loss, it means you're probably breaking out the channel, breaking out the trend line, and breaking out the resistance, which is 2 confidence is lost. And that would not necessarily make me bullish, but I wouldn't be looking for that big swing anymore. At that point, we might be pushing back to the high over here. So yeah, that wouldn't make me bearish anymore. But yeah, still looking at a lot more downside for Aussie CHF. Still in a nice place. So if you're looking to get involved, it's actually not a bad time. I'll wait for candlestick to close though, just to make sure that that momentum stays intact, because that could pull back to a wick, and yeah, might not look as good anymore. But that will happen in the next 2 hours and 30 minutes. So you got some time there. But still a nice area. Let me have a look at the CHF pairs, because they've been a little bit bullish over the past few days. I know New Zealand CHF, we just had a quick look, is respecting the high pretty well there. So I think New Zealand CHF is in a really nice place for a short as well. Back at some major resistance. Again, wicked through there very aggressively. Any price stop losses in this area would have been triggered there with that wick, and now coming down very aggressively. So to me, that looks like a nice little entry there for New Zealand CHF. But even like I said before, even if you're looking for a shorter term move back to support here, I think that looks good. There is room to the downside for New Zealand CHF to really go if it wants to. We've got the all-time lows down here. We're still forming lower highs. Perhaps price is still getting ready for another lower high for a short. So the possibility is still there, but even if you're looking for a shorter term trade, I think it still looks good there as well. How are the other CHF pairs doing? Okay, pound CHF. Okay, pound CHF is actually not a bad sell either. It's right at the top of this range here, right at the top. And the fact is, price has wicked to the upside already, so it's taking out some stops there as well. So it's at a nice place because, again, if you think about it, if you're looking to trade a range, if I wasn't in Aussie CHF, I probably would actually look to go and trade pound CHF right now. It's not my typical trade, but I do look for some of these entries, especially if I do have a long-term bias in the same direction. Actually, I did take a trade over here in December last year. It was a nice short, but price eventually came back, take me out for a break even. But essentially, what I'm getting at here for pound CHF is that we've got a ranging market here. The best way to trade it, trade a range, especially a range of this size, is to be right at the top or right at the bottom. Because if it does play out, you do get that swing, you get some really nice risk rewards, and you don't really have to do too much effort. You're just looking to buy low as possible, sell high as possible. As long as price is not breaking out the range, you have that that bearish bias at the top or bullish bias at the bottom. So if you can see a strong close to the downside, that actually is a nice entry there for pound CHF. We'll stop loss above the high. You can keep it relatively tight as well. And you got a nice risk to roll back to the low. And if you want to keep it a little bit more safer, you can target the 50% of the range. It's always a nice target, which is more or less around there. So this could be a nice initial target, book some partials, and then leave the rest to run. But yeah, that's actually a nice area for a short, right at the top of the range. And you know as well, it's because price has already taken out some prior highs too. So the odds of price coming back again to take out your stop loss is a little bit slimmer because we've already done that job. We've already taken out some highs. So yeah, if it can close well to the downside with some momentum, I think that's a nice position to take. That would be a nice position to take. No problem, Abdul. Happy to help. If you guys are enjoying the stream, by the way, please be sure to drop a like on the stream. It does really help out. If you're finding it useful, educational, informative, it does really help out the channel. Subscribe to the channel as well so you can see more of the content. And of course, hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. Yeah, do really appreciate the love on the stream, guys, and everyone who's liked so far. I do really appreciate that. But yeah, the CHF pairs are looking very interesting. The only thing about the CHF pairs is that they're very slow. They're not like the yen pairs or the USD pair. USD pairs are not notoriously fast, but they're just a lot faster than the CHF pairs, which are very, very slow. You can see we do take our time here. Of course, there are times where they do have their moments. But most of the time, just look at that. Just very, very choppy price action. So that's why quite a few people don't like them, especially if you're shorting as well, because you're paying swaps too. So they do have some cons, but in terms of an opportunity, I don't see anything wrong with this one right now. Right at the top of the range, nice few wicks to the upside. Looks like we're getting a nice shift of momentum there as well. I think that's a nice trade in my opinion. How are the other other CHF pairs doing? So we've looked at Aussie, New Zealand pound, CAD CHF. We'll have a look at dollar CHF as well. CAD CHF, yeah, this is not looking good at all. This is not looking good. And by not looking good, I just mean there's no setup. I don't mean not looking good as in it's not doing what it should be doing. It's just there's no setup there. Because again, this is another market that is kind of ranging as well. Equal lows, equal highs mostly. In terms of a nice entry, you kind of would want price to be right at the high there. Find some shorts right there to take it back down. Right now, we're still within structure. Your stop loss would be at risk there if you look to take a trade now, especially if you've got a stop loss above here. Stop loss above there is just begging to be hit there, to be honest. It's just not in a relatively safe pace. But yeah, if CAD was to push a little bit higher, that might be a nice place to take a short as well, judging how we react, of course. But CAD CHF not really doing much there. In terms of Euro CHF, what are we doing? Yeah, Euro CHF not doing much either. I mean, we're still in that larger channel. So I'm actually still looking for Euro CHF to have a bit of a breather before maybe you put in the next major lower high, because we've been dancing at the lows here for a while. Yeah, Euro CHF has just been taking its time. So not really too interested here of Euro Swiss. Pound CHF, Oz CHF, New Zealand CHF looks a lot better. Dollar CHF. Ooh, I typed dollar CAD. That's just reflex why I type that. I meant to type dollar CHF, but I actually didn't type dollar CAD. I've been looking at dollar CAD too much. Yeah, dollar CHF not really looking good either, to be honest. Still kind of stuck within this range. I'm pretty bearish in dollar CHF. Not because of CHF strength, but because of dollar weakness. That's really what I'm looking at, especially because of where we're trading from a technical aspect. Right at some major resistance on the weekly chart. As you can see, major resistance once, twice, and potentially a third time. So again, if you're going to respect this area, there's a lot of room to the downside there for dollar CHF, a lot of room. And of course, you've got major support there to target as well. So it's like we're in a big range here too. So it's in a nice place for some rejection. Just need to see if we get some follow through. And that would look like a nice breakout of this mess, really. Break of the support, and then looking for the next leg afterwards. But yeah, not quite there yet. It's definitely a pair which I'm interested in trading because we're seeing some really nice momentum, really nice double tops, and especially with dollar CAD reversing, Aussie dollar looks like it's reversing as well. I do think dollar CHF is just waiting to see that downside move as well. And if it does happen, I'm looking at pullback, so add it to the watch list and see if we can find a nice trade. But yeah, nothing quite just yet. Still respecting support. So I would stay patient there with dollar CHF. But other CHF pairs, pound CHF, Oz CHF, and New Zealand, all rejecting some really big levels. Nice candlestick patterns at some really nice areas. Again, the opportunity for a big move is there, but you could keep it relatively simple and look for just simple targets. You don't have to look for the home run every time. New Zealand CHF, a pushback to support makes a lot of sense. Pound CHF, push back into the 50 of the range make a load of sense, or even just the pushback to here, nice 1-to-1 or 1-to-1.5 makes sense. And for Aussie CHF, again, you can just look for a pushback into this low, even though that's a pretty nice move as well, but keep it relatively simple just in case we do something like that. That could be your target for the trade. But we're in some nice areas, so we'll see if price can keep the rejection up, put another lower high in, like we did once, twice, and hopefully a third time. And there's room to the downside. So we'll see how that goes. In terms of other pairs which I'm looking to get into, like I've said, I've looked at a lot of the yen pairs, but I'm not too sure if I get the trades I'm looking for. How the yen pairs doing? They're still pretty bearish. I'm not really moving too much, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, they're still looking pretty bearish, but they're not really seeing much momentum, which is why I'm getting, why I'm not losing hope completely about these shorts that I'm looking at, because we are still falling very correctively, which, again, given the fact that we had such an impulsive move to the left for the pullback last week or the week before, the fact that we're getting such a corrective move now, again, does look like potentially we could still see a move to the upside there. And of course, if that's the case, then there could be a lot more downside for Swiss yen after we see that follow through. So with the yen pairs, I'll see if we can get that pullback. We may or may not get that. As I said, just have to wait and see. If we just kind of slowly roll to the downside, that's fine as well. I'll look for the next leg afterwards. I do have a very long-term bearish bias with the yen pairs, so I'm not too bothered about finding setups right now because I'm expecting a lot more over the next few months, really. So it's not a small move I'm favoring. But yeah, I think judging how price is looking at, there may still be some hope for that move there. I think the real one to keep an eye on is the yen basket. If the yen basket can see that sell there, then we're very much on. And I'll probably get quite a few setups on the yen pairs altogether. So yeah, we'll keep a very close eye on that, because if that does happen, then I'll get some trades. But yeah, in terms of opportunities, the yen pairs will keep an eye on. So euro yen, pound yen, CAD yen, and not really so much CAD yen, euro yen, pound yen, Swiss yen, and dollar yen are the yen pairs I'm looking at. In terms of the USD pairs, dollar CAD I really like as well. Dollar CAD shorts look really good, so I'm going to keep a very close eye on that. But again, nowhere near entries, so not much to report on just yet. Still very sideways. Pound USD longs look very good as well. Looking at longs, okay, looks like pound USD is picking up some pace at the moment. Looking at longs here at 1.25, so hopefully we can get a push there. Aussie dollar longs look really good as well. So if that can sell off, that would be very much appreciated. Looks like we're kind of just consolidating right there. If we can push down, looking for some longs in that area. New Zealand dollar, despite the reaction we got yesterday, early this morning with that bullish candle there with the interest rates, I still do like the longs at this level, just below where price kind of reacted from. So it would be nice to see price come and get there coming back and test there, because there will probably be some stop losses underneath that low, so we can go and take them out and then hopefully see some upside after that. But yeah, in terms of the confluence, looking really good there for New Zealand dollar. Just have to play the waiting game. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, silver and gold are getting there as well. So I'm going to keep a close eye on these guys, especially silver. I really like silver. I'm looking for silver to get back to the high there. And the fact is, we had a nice close yesterday above resistance, but I do want to still see that wick taken out, because this is, of course, the wick that represents where we got rejected from, and we're still within that confinement. So if price can take out that wick high, which is basically break the 4-hour structure there, that would really give me the green flag that says, okay, silver's back bullish again, we're breaking resistance. Next big target is over there. That's most likely where we're going to be heading towards. So pullbacks after that make a load of sense, and just basically looking for entries. Probably intraday, probably look at hourly chart. I think 4-hour chart might not be the best bet, but we'll see how things set up. But yeah, direction very, very bullish. And gold, I will look for opportunities if the breakout is strong enough. It's got to be a convincing break, because this market is very stretched. I don't really look to trade very stretched markets in that trend, especially when we've been going on for a very, very long time. Of course, gold's a bit different because gold can just keep flying. I do expect it to, but I would want to see a bigger correction, which will come. You know, we have to just look at the history of gold, even this year as well. Despite the massive momentum we had at the start of the year, price did give us some nice corrections, and this is what I'm looking for in terms of some nice swings. And they will happen. We had another big one here as well. Of course, didn't really find an entry for that one. It was a bit kind of unorthodox, but the correction still happened. Now we had another big push. Eventually, we will see another one before price does continue. So that's really what I'm waiting for gold. But I wouldn't mind some intraday longs, especially if we do see a strong break of the high, and keep an eye on the retest there. And of course, the next goal there would be 3K, and hopefully a lot more upside past that as well. What's up, Ben? Welcome to the stream. What do you think of the dollar for the rest of the week? Good question. Looking for some upside in the dollar, but I'm pretty bearish at the moment. So if we go over to the DXY, so I'm looking for some upside, but I am expecting price to have a pretty big sell. A lot of the USD major pairs are trading some really big levels at the moment. Dollar CHF, dollar CAD, Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar, pound, even euro a little bit. We have some really big levels where we could turn around. And judging on the previous couple of weeks of structure for the dollar, impulse down, correction, impulse down as well. I'm actually looking for the continuation of that. Okay, same idea. Yeah, I'm looking at that as well. So I'm hoping for a bit more retracement in the dollar, because a lot of the dollar pairs, USD pairs, just kind of been sideways, to be honest, the past, well, basically since the week has started. Pound USD has been flat, just sideways. It's picking up some momentum now to the downside, which is good. And I'm looking for the retracement and the upside there. Euro, in fairness, has been retracing. I'm not the biggest fan of Euro USD compared to the other USD pairs. I think this one's a bit more choppier, but I do like the longs here as well. Basically looking for the next higher low. Aussie dollar's been very flat as well since the start of the week, just been ranging there. So again, looking for some longs down at these prices to take it higher. And New Zealand dollar had seen some downside, but we had that reaction to the interest rate, so it's a bit awkward. I want to see if we can get there again. But yeah, very, very bearish on USD for now. 105.5 a midterm target for the XY. A little bit higher this week though. Okay, let me have a look. 105.5. Okay, so basically back to the low here. So yeah, I mean, that's a pretty big push there for the dollar. A little bit high this week though. Yeah, I was expecting retracement as well for the short, so it might The shorts on the dollar might not present until Friday or potentially next week. Judging the pace of everything, it could happen quicker, but we've been very slow with this retracement, which is not a bad thing as well. The fact that we are slow is actually a good thing. It increases the probability that we actually will see the continuation, especially when we had such a lovely drop there. We don't want price to shoot straight up because that makes things a bit awkward. If we can slowly push up like we're doing now, the shorts actually become a lot better of an opportunity. But yeah, in terms of when it might set up, this week might just give us a bullish move. So we push up higher this week, and then maybe next week we actually get the shorts. But in terms of the higher time frames, dollar is very interesting because I wonder, are we reversing here? Is this price just having a bigger retracement, or are we reversing to completely sell off? Because again, I've been looking at this range here for the dollar. Let me increase the brightness of that line so it stands out a little bit more, and the thickness too. So yeah, we've been trapped in this range for the past 2 years for the dollar. And of course, since late last year, we broke out of it. And that has essentially been my bullish bias for the dollar because I've been looking for a push back to 113, which is up here, as long as we stay above that high. At the moment, it looks like we're trying to break back underneath. It might just be a pullback for price to eventually push up. But if we do start breaking back underneath this, especially with some momentum, then I'm looking at this as a fake out, and I become bearish pretty quickly and expecting a pushback to the low there, 101/100. And of course, if that happens, that means we're going to see a lot of upside for the USD pairs. Euro's going to fly, pound's going to fly. Pretty much all of them. Of course, dollar CAD will fall and dollar CHF will fall, but there is that opportunity for a lot of downside. So I'm very skeptical with the dollar right now because I am bearish, but I don't necessarily know how long I'm bearish for. Because if you do bounce aggressively, I'm bullish again. If you do crack support, then like I said, I'm looking for a push all the way down here, and I'll be bearish probably for the remainder of the year, to be honest, at that point. So it's a very interesting area right now for the dollar. I need a little bit more information before I very confidently hang on to a longer term bias. It's not clear cut just yet, but at the moment, from an intraday point of view, things are looking pretty bearish. So I'm going to stay intraday, or not intraday, intra-week 4-hour chart. It's technically 4-hour chart is intraday because it's within the daily candle, but yeah, it takes a lot longer than a day for the swings to play out. So, but yeah, in terms of this kind of intra-week bias here, I'm looking at sells, but I think I'm just going to keep it relatively safe back to the low here. So if we do push up, I'll just look for a push back to the low. We could go further back into 105.5. I actually do think we got a good opportunity of that happening. But just because that higher time frame bias is just a little bit up in the air right now for myself, I'm not going to look for anything too long term for USD until that's clear. We're returning back into the range in your opinion? Okay, yeah. I mean, at the point in time, it looks like that's kind of where USD is kind of leaning towards. And if we do break back in the range, then yeah, I would be very bearish on USD. And I say that as well because a lot of the USD pairs, which I just mentioned, are all at major areas of resistance or support. Like if I go to the weekly chart, look at dollar CHF, major resistance there. Dollar CAD, major resistance as well. Dollar CAD, major resistance. Aussie dollar, major support. Back down at the low there. New Zealand dollar, major support. So a lot of USD pairs are major areas where we could turn around. Even pound USD coming back into a major swing low here on the left and respecting it pretty well. This is a swing low, which gave us a swing to the upside, and we respected it. So I wonder, is the USD pairs position themselves for potentially a big move? And if we do see the dollar come back in the range, then we probably will see that big moves, and a lot of these USD pairs can fly. Of course, at the end of the day, we're trades at the end of the day, so things can change pretty quickly. In terms of the long-term bias, you don't necessarily need to have that in stone. It's just about the setup, and the setup you're trading. Is it a good setup? Is your confidence is met? Is the context of the market appropriate? That's the question you should be asking yourself. Of course, where pound USD is going for the next 6 months, unless you're very much a longer term swing trader, it's not really a concern. Even for me, it's not really a concern, really. Pound USD might be back at the highs here in 6 months or down at the lows here in 6 months. I have no idea. And quite frankly, I'm not really too concerned because I know either which way we go, there'll be opportunities. And that's really my focus. Can I find setups that fit the plan and can I trade them well? That's really my focus. And right now, there's some nice bullish setups presenting on pounds. So I'm looking for the next high low here. We'll see what we can get in the next maybe couple days or maybe early next week. It depends how long you retrace, depends how you retrace, but that's what I'll be looking at there for pound. So yeah, USD pairs are definitely on my watch list, quite a few of them. If dollar CHF can break the low, then I'll add that to the watch list as well. And I'll be looking for shorts here too. It's just dollar CHF right now is respecting support. So I'm looking to see if we can break through that leg, through that support, give us another bearish leg, and then I'll look to short the retest or the lower high somewhere, and I'll look to add this to the watch list as well. So a lot of USD pairs on the watch list for myself, all favoring USD weakness. So that's still very much the play for me. And of course, gold and silver longs are finding themselves on my watch list as well, which again favor USD weakness too. So perhaps it might be the start of a really big move. How is Bitcoin doing? Are we still very flat? Yeah, to be honest, we are pretty flat. I mean, a bit of a bearish move there yesterday, but it looks like price is going to rebound to the upside pretty aggressively. But again, we're trading in the middle of nowhere, so I won't get too excited with Bitcoin. It's been a bit of a slow one. I wonder what Bitcoin's getting at, because we've been in the same place for a while. The hype with Bitcoin hitting 100K has definitely diminished by now. I think the fact that we haven't sold off is a bit of a is a very big positive, I would say. That the fact that we haven't hit 100K and just turned around, I think is a good sign. The fact that we are moving sideways, I think does lean towards us having a pretty big breakout in the next few weeks, potentially there for Bitcoin. And again, in terms of the way I would look to trade it, there's only two ways: either buying right below at 90K ish, 92K. So again, some entries right down here with all these kind of wicks that I've collected, and then some stops below the low, and then trading it to the high, and then of course maybe holding some positions to take advantage of a breakout should it happen. Or, of course, waiting for the breakout to happen and then looking for opportunities on the back of that. That's the only way I see trading Bitcoin right now. So if I zoom out to the weekly chart, just put things into context, Bitcoin has been stuck in these ranges for quite a while. We have a really big bullish move and then we form a range. You did it over here as well. Big bullish move, range, big bullish move, range, big bullish move, range, big bullish move, really big range, big bullish move, right back into another range. So it has been a very consistent pattern with Bitcoin, and it doesn't necessarily have the pullbacks you would expect with like FX or S&P or commodities, where we have a push and we have a much more prolonged pullback and a steeper one like this. Bitcoin just moves like this, and it's up again, and it's up again. So it doesn't have the traditional kind of pullback away from the high. It just stops there and then continues. And that has been the pattern for the past 5, 6 ranges. So I wonder, is this high going to be any different? Probably not. If we do break the low, then that is a sign of things are changing a little bit. But again, I'll still be bullish, looking for a retest of that previous range there for continuation. But if we do break to the high, then the way you look to trade that is either the break and retest, or just trading the breakout as well. I would say breakout entries, especially in Bitcoin in this kind of climate, is actually a good idea. Or just trading the low of the range as well. Find a nice entry and perhaps take advantage of a big breakout. So yeah, Bitcoin's an interesting one, but it's still very, very flat and very, very boring. But sometimes those are the best times to actually find some entries because no one's talking about it. It's very flat, and all of a sudden you see 2, 3 big candles, and we're flying again, and Bitcoin's on everyone's lips. Nick, pound USD good for a buy? Yes, I'm pretty bullish for pound USD at the moment. Only difference is 100K is a huge psych level. True, very, very true, very, very true. But I feel like because it's such a huge psych level, as soon as we got there, you probably would have had some bigger players looking to cash out a little bit. I wouldn't expect them to cash out everything, of course not. Especially if you're going to hold on for that long, you'd be expecting higher prices for Bitcoin, but 100K would be a big point to lock in some gains, which is probably why we've been stalling. Just because of the psychology of that level. 100K is such an infamous round number, and we've been stalling there for a few weeks now. So yeah, it's a big level, and perhaps some people have cashed out, but the fact that we haven't sold off, I think, is a big statement, because if too many people did close positions, then we would have had a bit of a tank, but we haven't. We've just been flat. We've just been holding support and holding resistance, of course. So I think that's a strong sign that says we could still push on. But you're right, it is an interesting level where we could retrace. And even if we do retrace, like I said, back to these areas, I think it's still a good buy for Bitcoin. There's just so much momentum with it. But yeah, I'm still pretty bullish, even if we do have a bit of a sell-off. Pound USD, I have a quick look. So yeah, pound USD, I'm very bullish on still seeing higher highs and higher lows. As I've said, we're coming back from a really strong low on the daily chart, and since then we've been putting in some higher highs and higher lows. So the plan very much is to look for the next one. This perhaps might be the new higher prices printing in. I like this level here on the 4-hour chart. Was really nice resistance support earlier, as we can all see. Now was resistance, and now hopefully can act as support again. So I actually really like this area in terms of the confluence. Nice trend line lining up with that area too, connecting these prior higher lows. So we can see price get there, retest that, maybe fires a few wicks through that zone. Could end up being a really nice opportunity to take pound USD to the upside. And of course, keeping it relatively simple, a push back to the high. That makes a lot of sense. We might go a lot further, maybe to attack some of the highs here on the left. But again, depends what type of trader you are and how big of a swing. And of course, if you have bigger targets, the less likely price it will get there. But just in terms of a pullback, push to the high, I think you've got a nice probability of that happening for pound USD. So yeah, pretty bullish bias on pound, just waiting for that pullback. Nice area of confluence there. You can see the level in all its glory there on the daily chart. Really nice support, now flipped resistance. So hopefully we'll be acting as support again. I wouldn't just jump straight into the trade, wait for some evidence that price is holding, wicks, bullish engulfing candles, then use that as a nice entry signal. And this could be the start of a really big move. But I won't get carried away just yet. I want to see some more aggressive momentum, bullish momentum for pound before I start favoring a bigger move like that, because this is still a very corrective move higher. Yes, it's a nice bullish structure, but compared to the drop we've had here and even the move up there, we've seen more convincing momentum. So yeah, pound USD pretty bullish and expecting more upside. And this is a pair on the watch list for me. But yeah, if I wasn't shorting Aussie CHF originally, I'd probably be looking to get involved with pound CHF. I mean, I'll see how the candle does close. You've still got another 2 hours before that happens. So a lot can happen in 2 hours. But pound CHF is right at the high there. So it's an interesting short. If we can hold the range high, then you position yourself right at the top. If you're looking to trade a range, the best trade is to sell as high as possible, buy as low as possible. Be the highest seller, the lowest buyer. Of course, you want to be on the fabric of between, is it a breakout or is price just retesting the level? Once you're on that kind of fabric, then you're in a really nice place, because of course doesn't mean you will be successful with every trade. There will be some times where it is actually the breakout, you do get stopped out. The times where you do catch it right, the risk reward is very, very high. Should we see a swing to the opposite end? In this instance, could be looking at 1 to 5, which is a very, very generous risk reward ratio. But really nice area for a short, really nice level. Of course, price is just taking out the highs there as well. So creating new highs there too, which is always a nice confidence for a trade. And I've marked out the 50% at that level. So you can always look to close a nice little chunk there and leave some rest to run. But it's that nice area. And the reason why I like it a lot as well is because longer term, I'm still looking at the continuation of this bearish leg. I'm still looking at this as the correction of it for another drop. So if I'm going to trade a range, I try to always position myself where I'm expecting the bigger move to be. That again adds more confidence to the trade. Doesn't necessarily mean you look to hold for the full move, but it's always nice to know that okay, the higher time frames are in my favor. So that gives a bit more context to my trade. But it's a really nice location. I said if I wasn't trading Aussie CHF, I'll probably look to see if I can hop into this one. But because I am trading Aussie CHF, it's a very similar trade. Looking for CHF strength, there's no point of me taking it, especially when I'm in drawdown as well. No point to just to double up. And New Zealand CHF also looks pretty good too. Nice level of resistance, nice reaction. At least the push back to the low there looks like a nice move as well. So that's something to keep an eye out if you're interested in some CHF pairs. Other than that, I'm very much focused on USD pairs for some USD weakness. So that's really where my focus will be. And hopefully maybe the yen pairs might pull back. I'm not too sure if they will, but if they do, hopefully there'll be some nice entries there for us. But guys, we have come up to the end of the stream. If you have found the stream useful, educational, entertaining, please be sure to drop a like on the stream. It does really help out. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And of course, make sure you do go and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. If you haven't done already, check out the Elevating Traders Discord channel, complete free to join. Link to that in the description below. You can find updates there. You can find out more information about Elevating Traders. You can chat with other traders, chat with myself. I share setup ideas there as well. So if you want to do that or see what people are looking at, of course, go check it out. Completely free to join. Link to that in the description below and also at the top of the chat. But guys, appreciate you tuning in. I'll be live again tomorrow, as always, every weekday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. UK time. So if you're free, pop in, say hi, come chat with us, and have a good time. But guys, appreciate you tuning in. Have a great day, and I'll catch you all in the next stream.